Hey, first live stream for the week on a Tuesday night. See if anyone is up to hang out, basically, and see the new week and see what's happening in this big, wide world, and just hang, talk, chill, have a good time, whatevs. What is? I'm up for whatever. Yes, another exciting week. Had Monday was a public holiday here in Melbourne. I did not get out of my pajamas all day. It is extremely rare for me to do that. I usually get dressed at some point. I mean, often not till afternoon, but at some point, I have a tendency to have a shower and get dressed. And yesterday I was just like, fuck it, bro. Stayed in my shorts and dressing gown all day. Bathrobe, whatever you want to call those things. Essentially, I stayed in my bedroom wear all day and lounged about. Did stuff for my cocktail channel on YouTube. What else did I do? I watched things on the television, and I think I played a bit of Yakuza Like a Dragon. I wonder, I was just going to check something while we're talking. I am not logged into Discord on this channel, on this laptop. Can I remember? No. I'm just trying to... That worked. Is it? Oh, yep. Hey, that was only the second attempt at remembering what the password was, which I'm reasonably impressed by. That it only took me twice. Okay, no, I was just checking for messages and there are none, so that's okay. Sherry on Facebook, who knew that about Barbie? Yes, not everyone does. Not everyone knows about Barbie's sexy origins. Today is the anniversary of Barbie being released to the public in the US of A. But she was modeled on, as in stolen... Well, no, actually, I think the people who designed Barbie bought the copyright to a German doll called Bild Lili, which was a bit sultry because she was based off sexy cartoons for gentlemen. So, yes, Bild Lili was not quite as pure as Barbie. Raiders, good evening to you, sir. It was just a fun thing. The design was incredibly different in the early days. In fact, both Bild Lili and early Barbie had a huge fucking forehead like me. So big it's a five head, as the saying goes. Yeah, fashions and styles change, I guess. And apparently the Bild Lili doll was not actually selling that well because everyone in Germany knew of its origins and parents weren't that keen to buy the sexy doll for the little girls. So it wasn't selling that well. And so an American woman saw it and liked it, but wanted to redesign it and change its name and use it in the American market. So yeah, they bought the rights to Bild Lili, renamed her to Barbie, redesigned her, launched her on America, and of course later the world. Some millions of Barbies sold down the years. For all its problematic nature, I mean, it's one of those things, it's mixed. Yes, you can argue Barbie is problematic with the unrealistic body image and stuff, but millions of little girls and who knows who else around the world really enjoyed playing with Barbie, and they do some interesting things with Barbie these days, actually. North will rise again. Yes, German people are interesting. Oh God, back in my youth, in yon olden pre-internet days, where you had to actually go out and like buy pornography. If you're getting videos, German ones were guaranteed to be weird as fuck. Yeah, anyone who was into any sort of fetish stuff would be seeking out German porn because it was a little bit different. Right, is Aussie Curd Nerd, I assume, is a YouTube channel about cheese, and they've been making parmesan. That actually does sound fascinating. Maybe I should look in, because I always have lots of curds. I always have lots of milk curds, because when I'm milk clarifying cocktails, the curds get left behind. And Mrs. Angry uses them in desserts because they're quite strongly flavored because they absorb all the alcohol flavor. Cherie, Barbie was a clothes horse. Yes, you're absolutely right. She's just a dress up. She's not meant to be a role model. Although these days, some of the stuff I've seen from, like, they do animated Barbie shows now. Barbie's an aggressive little social justice warrior these days. Raiders, is it Gavin Weber? That is the name of the Aussie Curd Nerd. It's great. People, it's what I love about, YouTube, the internet in general, for all the terrible failings of social media and whatnot. It has also given, literally millions of people around the world outlets to do creative things and share them. And many, many, many people have actually made a living that they otherwise would never have made, thanks mostly to YouTube. Facebook doesn't really help people make a living very much. But yes. Yes, Sherry, Barbie has changed over the years. Like I said, from the early days of a sexy doll to being squeaky clean to having those bloody missile-like boobs and impossibly tiny waist to these days trying to be a lot more inclusive. So I have to admit, I absolutely love the Ken and Barbie in Toy Story 3. That cracked me up. The interactions between Ken and Barbie in Toy Story 3 was just brilliant. I mean, that is broadly an absolutely brilliant film. It's very rare that the third in a series is the best, but I will fight anyone for Toy Story 3 being the best of the Toy Story movies. And I honestly think it's not even close. Right, do you think it's me talking about curds made the curd nerd show up? It could be. It really could be. Who knows? The search engines are strange and mysterious, and various things could happen. I feel like, in case you're wondering why I keep adjusting my glasses, I'm just going to rub my eyes because I feel like my eyes are fucked tonight. Oh. And I'm having, I look a bit blurry on the screen. North will rise again. Return of the Kings. The Lord of the Rings is not really a trilogy. It's the one story told over 3 films. That doesn't count as a trilogy in my book. Godfather 3 is by orders of magnitude the worst of the Godfather films. It is broadly fucking terrible. It has moments, but my personal ranking of the Godfather films, the original Godfather is one of the most technically perfect films I've seen. I find it incredible how beautifully structured and shot it is. Godfather Part 2 is good. Some people like it more than the original, and look, that's fine. I don't. It's very good. It is very good. But I just think the execution of the original Godfather is just stunning. Godfather Part 3 is just it's so far behind the other two, it's embarrassing. Yes, so you do get lots of series that go to 3 or more sequels. But I can't think of another one where the third in a series, and like I said, I don't actually count the Lord of the Rings as 3 separate films. They're not sequels. It was the one story that had to be spread across 3 films to tell it. So I don't count them as sequels because Fellowship of the Ring is not self-contained. It's just the first part of the story. A sequel is when the sequel doesn't come into being until the original is successful. So I don't know if there was ever any doubt about. I don't know what contract like J.K. Rowling had at the start of the Harry Potter series. So I don't know if the first Harry Potter book had have bombed. I don't know if the subsequent ones would have been published. I don't know what sort of contract she had. Jesus Christ, rubbing your eyes excessively causes keratoconus. I don't know what that is. Don't really want it. Shields the end of Star Wars 3 by 3. Look, I think Star Wars, I'm with most people in that The Empire Strikes Back is the best of the original trilogy. Bray just got home, kind of drunk, enjoying the stream. Yeah, kick back and enjoy. We're just talking about film sequels at the moment. I'm with most people and thinking Empire Strikes Back is the best of the original trilogy. The prequels just suck so much. I think it's pointless even making that choice. I think it's pointless making the choice with the prequels. My somewhat controversial take on the recent trilogy is the second one is the best. Last Jedi. I think it's great. I think Force Awakens is very good. I think Last Jedi is better. I think Rise of Skywalker is Godfather 3 level of embarrassing. Has some good stuff on it, but overall it's like, what the fuck is that? And I think the best of all the Star Wars movies is Rogue One. Rogue One is fucking great. I love that movie. I think Rogue One's the best of all the Star Wars movies. Possibly controversial takes there. But films, it's just personal taste. Like if someone said to me that they loved The Godfather 3, I'd have trouble understanding it. But theoretically, there might be someone out there who thinks Godfather 3 is the best of the Godfather films. I find that hard to process, but it's just personal taste. So I don't get too worked up about what films someone likes and doesn't like. unless they're one of those dickheads with an agenda, and it's just, they're fucking right-wing fucking propaganda that they're actually about. Shieldsy, Back to the Future. Again, I'm not a huge Back to the Future fan. I think the original is the best. The sequels aren't terrible, but I think they pale next to the original. Mind you, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I think the sequel, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, is better because it's not as tied up in time travel jokes as the first one. I think it's got a better story because it's not obsessed with time travel jokes. I haven't seen the recent Bill and Ted Face the Music, so I can't really speak to that. Braylon, you spent summer watching a bunch of films. That's good. Oh, the series, Pirates of the Caribbean, Harry Potter. The Pirates of the Caribbean films were entertaining. I think it was incredible how good the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie was, when it was just, inspired by a ride at Disneyland, and that's it. It was an amazing success based on that. Abigail, hello and good evening. How are you? And Annette's here too. Yay. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. We're having a Tuesday night. We are talking films and sequels at the moment, but this stream being what it is, the subject will doubtless change multiple times. But our first nerd theme of the evening is films, and particularly sequels, because I went with Toy Story 3 is the best of the Toy Story films, and I couldn't think of another series of films with sequels where the third one was the best. Sometimes the second one is, depending on your point of view, but one that's gone to 3, well, now Toy Story's gone to 4. I can't think of a film series with at least 2 sequels where the third one's the best, apart from Toy Story. Toy Story 4 was okay, but Jesus, Toy Story 3 was a hard act to follow. That's true, Shieldsy. Police Academy went for 7 or 8 movies, and none of them were any good. The original was kind of okay. But yes, the Police Academy is very much flogging a dead horse. Abigail, see, I put the point that I think The Lord of the Rings is brilliant, but I think the 3 films, those aren't sequels. It's one story that's just so long they had to break it between things. When I talk sequels, I mean the sequel only came into existence because the original was successful. If the original wasn't successful, the sequel wouldn't have been made. Dark Knight. Okay. North Will Rise Again. So Nolan's Batman trilogy. I think the second of the 3, and I think that's an easy thing. Everyone loves the Joker. Everyone loves Heath Ledger's Joker. I think, yes, Dark Knight Rises, second of the third was the best. Abigail, yeah, Back to the Future was a trilogy. I think the first is noticeably better than the 2 sequels. I don't think the sequels are terrible, but I think the first is a lot better than them. But again, as I was saying, this is just personal taste. This is, people are going to like different things. Raiders, Rocky did, I think, 6 films altogether. The 6th one was just called Rocky Balboa. It was Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5, and then quite a bit later was another one that was just called Rocky Balboa. Braylon, good call. Human Centipede did make 3. I have not seen any of them, so I can't give a ranking of Human Centipede films. Yes, I don't know if there's any Rocky fans that have a rating. I always thought the first one was streets ahead of the later ones. Although I haven't seen Rocky Balboa, and some people will call it an equal to the first, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Shieldsy, Terminator. I think Terminator 2 is the best. I think the original Terminator is pretty good. I think Terminator 2 is the best, and I think all the other ones, okay, that's a little embarrassing. That's all a little embarrassing. Let's not go there. So no one has done something where I think has challenged what I said about Toy Story. It's the only one where the third movie is the best. Sometimes the second one is. There's I think Terminator 2 is better. What was the other one I mentioned? Oh, Empire Strikes Back and the original Star Wars trilogy. I think and again, that's a pretty easy opinion. Most people think that. So Abigail, I think the original Human Centipede is good and the sequels are awful. I haven't seen them. North, it is true that Human Centipede 2 was banned here for a while. I think they had to cut some stuff from it. I think Human Centipede 1 got away with a bit because it's black and white, if I remember rightly. It's incredible the difference that makes. Annette, don't even mention HC. I'm not sure what that's a reference to. Braylon, Fast and Furious. There are so many of them, and I've never really watched any of them, so I can't chime in with that. But what was 3 was Tokyo Drift. I don't think Tokyo Drift is anyone's favorite. Shieldsy, Jurassic Park. Again, I think the original is pretty good, and all the sequels, including the Jurassic World spin-offs, have been pretty fucking ordinary. Oh, it's Human Centipede 2 that's in black and white. Okay, cool. Oh, shit, Abigail. I think you got me. I think you fucking got me. Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness is the best of the Evil Dead films. I think that's right. Because it's weird. Evil Dead is good, super low budget. Evil Dead 2 is virtually just remaking Evil Dead 1 with a better budget. And Evil Dead 3 is its own thing, Army of Darkness. Yeah, actually, I reckon you found one, Abigail. I will come down on your side of Evil Dead 3 is the best of the Evil Dead. So that's another one where the third is the best. Raiders, weren't they making Romper Stomper 2? Oh, Jesus. What a tragic idea. Oh, well, the writer-director's dead now, I think, so that won't happen. Shieldy, Hellboy, there's 2 Hellboy movies and remake, and none of them are that. I have seen them all. None of them are that good that I have a strong opinion about them. I don't know if there's any big Hellboy fans that want to sound off if the original Hellboy or Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, was better. The Tomb Raider films with Angelina Jolie, there were 2 of them. I think the second one was better than the first. But again, I don't hold either of them in particularly high esteem. But I thought the second Angelina Jolie was the thing. Okay, I think Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade sucked. Not as hard as the Crystal Skull one. I think the first Raiders of the Lost Ark was streets ahead of any of the sequels. I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. You have to overlook the fact Indy is such a fucking imperialist. He is stealing relics from living cultures because he thinks he's allowed to. The second one, set in India, is all sorts of creepy colonizer shit in the second one. Last Crusade. I mean, okay, Sean Connery, yes. Sean Connery's good. But overall, I don't think Last Crusade comes even close to Raiders of the Lost Ark. But again, personal taste. North, I think the guy who made Romper Stomper is dead. I could be wrong, though. Shieldsy, Bad Boys. No, Bad Boys is fun, but I think the original Bad Boys is better than Bad Boys 2, and I haven't seen Bad Boys 3. But Bad Boys 3 was a bit of a disaster from what I hear. Yes, Annette. Indiana Jones is a real colonizer, but at least he hates Nazis. He's got that going for him. Braylon, I have seen The Life of Pi. It's a pretty interesting film, that one. I quite enjoy watching I've seen it more than once. I like watching The Life of Pi. Romper Stomper director. Jeffrey Wright. No, he's not dead. I was wrong. Someone was dead. Someone connected with Romper Stomper died recently. For some reason, I thought it was Jeffrey Wright, and it's not. Abigail, you like... Okay. You like Crusader last more than Lost Ark? Indy could have done nothing. The entire Lost Ark would have been played out the same. That's right, Raiders. There was some sort of TV series about Romper Stomper, wasn't there? I saw the movie with young Rusty Crowe when it was new. I think I saw it in the cinema, and he, as Hando, head of a Nazi skinhead gang in Footscray, is fucking terrifying. He's so compelling. He's so freaky. Jesus. It just absolutely... He was terrifying because he was so believable as this charismatic, intelligent piece of shit Nazi. But because people are only... A lot of people, particularly on the left, are only comfortable if bad guys are very, very bad and you don't empathize with them, or they're not compelling characters. Like David Stratton refused to rate Romper Stomper. And I saw a bunch of people going like, oh, no, because you actually showed the Nazi as being charismatic and really compelling. It's like you're endorsing Nazism. It's like, no, he made sure they lost in the end. He made sure they were complete failures. But the idea that bad people are never compelling or seductive in the... That's how fucking dictators come to power. I thought some of the complaints about Romper Stomper were fucking ridiculous. And particularly David Stratton. I think he made a complete fucking goose of himself. And I tend to be on a very similar wavelength with David Stratton in a lot of film reviews, but his little "I refuse to even acknowledge Romper Stomper exists" was stupid. North Four Eyes again. American History X, I don't think is remotely as good as Romper Stomper. Again, it's not a bad film. It's interesting. Same thing. It's trying to show how someone becomes a Nazi, but they also want to redeem that guy. None of the Nazis in Romper Stomper got redeemed. They were fucking Nazis. That's the thing. I agree, Annette. I never found the Nazis sympathetic. They were totally mesmerizing, though. Oh shit, Jesus, Abigail, that's another one. Yes, I was going to have trouble with Marvel movies because, what's a sequel of what? But there are 3 Thor movies, and Thor Ragnarok is better than the first 2. See, okay, I started the evening with a theory. It's been blown out of the water. Toy Story was the only one I could think of where the third was the better. But Thor Ragnarok is a fucking masterwork. It's so funny. Taika Waititi makes such good films. Ever see a film says, written, directed Taika Waititi? Watch it. It's great. Also, TV series like What We Do in the Shadows and Wellington Paranormal. Very fun. Annette, Ragnarok is your Christmas movie. Nice. Well, of course, and Taika Waititi is doing the next Thor movie, currently shooting or maybe just finished shooting in Australia. What's it called? Love and Thunder or something? Won't be out for another year or two because that's the funny thing with those movies. there's the shooting schedule, but then post-production is, a year or two to get it out. North Will Rise Again. Aren't there only 2 Man with No Name films? Or, okay, is it okay? This is a slight blank spot in my head. I know there's Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More, and they're Clint Eastwood, and he's kind of sort of playing saying, but is that literally the same character? Is The Good, Bad, and the Ugly? I know it seems like the same character because it's Clint Eastwood being a cowboy, man, a few words. And A Few Dollars More is definitely a sequel to A Fistful of Dollars. But is that actually the exact same character in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? That's a little blank spot in my film knowledge. I'm not sure if that's literally the same character. Mind you, Sergio Leone also did it's like a cheap film in one of the spaghetti westerns, and it's occasionally released under 2 different names. One is A Fistful of Dynamite, which was named like that, obviously to cash in on a fistful of dollars. And sometimes it's just called Duck You Sucker. Oh God, what's the actor? George? No, it's not George Papard. Fistful of Dynamite. James Coburn, and Rod Steiger plays a Mexican revolutionary. James Coburn is an IRA guy who's on the run. Very, very, very good film. Okay, Abigail, Good, Bad, the Ugly is definitely the 3rd in the trilogy, and it is the same character, the Man with No Name. See, they're saying, okay, Abigail, Fury Road is in its own class because that's the 4th in a series, and that is clearly better than the rest of them. And I love the originals. I probably would have rated Mad Max 2 as better. Of the first 3, I'd probably go Mad Max 2, Mad Max, and Mad Max 3. But Fury Road, the 4th Mad Max film, it's like basically, I think it's about the greatest film of the last 10 years. I fucking love that movie. It's an astonishing piece of work. And I would absolutely rank Fury Road as the best of the Mad, like without no doubt. Anyone who says otherwise is a silly person. So that's in a class of its own. It's the 4th in a series that's the best of the series. Braylon, Barbie cocktails, I bet there are. If like I do a Google search, Barbie cocktails, the Barbie pink cocktail, the Barbie shot is cranberry, coconut rum, orange juice, and vodka. Barbie pink cocktail from the Cookin' Chicks. How do they make a pink cocktail? Okay, 1 ounce vodka, 2 ounces of Sprite, and pink lemonade. Oh God! So it's pink lemonade with vodka. That's not a cocktail. It's a mixed drink. Well, here's someone who's gone to town. This one. They got rum in this Barbie cocktail. Whoops, what the fuck happened? The fucking websites that always want to load ads on you. Oh, get absolutely fucked. It's just like, it is actually, I don't know if it's malware on that site or if it's just the person who's controlling the site is a piece of shit. but the whole thing got taken over by an ad that was impossible to get rid of. So this person reckons vodka, orange juice, cranberry juice, and rum equal parts. That would be such a shitty drink. I could make it better. That would be such a shitty drink, though. North reckons Spider-Man 3 is a weak film. I would agree with you. Ooh, Abigail, the Lethal Weapon movies. No, it's only the Lethal Weapon 1 wins in Lethal Weapon. The sequels are silly and entertaining and whatnot. But there was, God, they end up with like 4 or 5 Lethal Weapon films. The first one is the only really good one. Badass Barbie. What's this one? Let's see what they're doing here. Perfect girls' night drink. Good. Jesus, shitty fucking websites. I swear to fuck. So this person's saying coconut rum, berry vodka, cranberry juice. This is the same fucking recipe, except they've added pineapple juice as well. I mean, Jesus, fuck off the vodka and put some more rum in there. Coconut rum and pineapple rum. And orange juice overpowers cocktails. There are hardly any good cocktails that have orange juice in them. Orange juice overpowers. And 1 ounce of cranberry is way too much because cranberry is really strong. Pineapple juice, yeah. Okay, so they're making that pink with cranberry. That's what's making that one pink. Yeah, I'd make it with a couple of sorts of rum, pineapple juice, and cranberry juice. Christ, the pictures of it's bright red. I don't know what fucking cranberry juice they've got to make it bright red. Hellion, hello, Kirsten. Oh, wow, Raiders, looking at movies made in Melbourne. The 300. I never actually watched Malcolm. I remember the car that splits in two. I saw bits of it, and I've never seen Malcolm. I probably would. And Shannon's here as well. Hello and good evening. Yes, we've been talking movies all night. And are there any movies where sequels are better than the original? And I made the foolish claim that the Toy Story series is the only one where the third one's the best. Abigail made a fool of me. Army of Darkness, the third Evil Dead film, is clearly the best of the Evil Dead films. And Thor Ragnarok, the third Thor film, is clearly the best of the Thor films. And then we also noticed that the new record setter, Mad Max Fury Road, the fourth Mad Max film, is clearly the best of the Mad Max films. Oh, shit. Shannon's coming in hot with Lethal Weapon 3 is the best of the lot. Well, personal taste. I think all the Lethal Weapons after the first one are stupid. They're entertaining, but stupid. Die Hard 3. Which one was Die Hard 3? Because they're all shit. Sorry, man. They're all shit after the first one. Shieldy, they made Brisbane look like New York for Thor. Yeah, it's quite funny how they shoot films in different cities and get real selective in how they shoot it to try and make it look like another city. Wait, Die Hard 3 is the one with Sam Jackson, isn't it? And it's, good because it's got Sam Jackson, but it doesn't get there. Kirsten, you've eaten half pineapple, woken up from a nap, had back-to-back meetings, and your brain was mushy. That's fair. Yeah. And again, this is all just personal taste. These aren't absolute truths or anything ridiculous like that. And yes, I could see having a soft spot for Die Hard 3 because Sam Jackson's in it, but no, not for me. Honestly, not even close. Yeah, no, not even close, in my opinion. And same as Lethal Weapon 3. They all just got very silly after the first one, which is entertaining in its own way, absolutely. But no, none of them come close to measuring up. Because the first one, for a cop buddy movie, was really innovative. North, that is a good point. I think the Mission Impossible movies kind of broadly got better after the second one. But I also not that into them that I actually have a favorite. Abigail, I have not seen Doctor Sleep yet. It's interesting because it's incredibly mixed reviews, from super negative to super positive. So at some point I do want to watch it. But yes, for those who don't know, Doctor Sleep is a sequel to the old Stephen King film, most famously made by Stanley Kubrick, The Shining. Although apparently Stephen King hates Kubrick's The Shining because it's very different from the book. But yeah, Doctor Sleep's a sequel that came out recently. So some 40 years after the original, there was a sequel where our man, young Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, plays the kid from The Shining 40 years later. So yeah, it's the. Oh, you're just getting ice cream or something. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think it's easier to find a sequel, like a first sequel, that's better than the original, than it is to find a third or fourth one. And particularly with franchise ones, people have very personal tastes in those things. So, Nintendo Lunchbox, Hell from Las Vegas. I gather that was a typo, but it's probably fitting. Hell from Las Vegas. I'm going to try this one. This one, one of my clarified cocktails. As far as urine sample goes, this one's pretty well hydrated. I have not tasted that one yet, so I might taste it. That was that's a clarified version of a cocktail called the Chauncey, which I made on Friday night. Right. Get a glass. Get a fresh bit of ice. I mean, I don't really need a fresh bit of ice, but I'm going to, because I'm a suave and sophisticated man. Fresh ice. Right. Shieldsy, Star Trek movies, the only ones couldn't cross over TV show success, the big screen. I don't know. I think Star Trek movies were pretty commercially successful. And okay, actually, in the Star Trek, the original cast and Next Generation movies, the first Star Trek movie is pretty terrible. Second one, Wrath of Khan, is one of the best. Third one, Search for Spock's pretty ordinary. It was 4 or 5 was The Undiscovered Country, which was my other favorite one, because it has Klingons reciting poetry. No, they reciting Shakespeare, in fact. Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war. The reboot Star Trek movies, I enjoy them, but I'm not that invested in them to go, this one's the best. Yeah. Abigail, 4 was The Voyage Home, so 5 was The Undiscovered Country. What was 5? You're saying The Undiscovered Country was 6? What was 5 if 4 was The Voyage Home? And of the Next Generation ones, the only good one's First Contact. The Generations one I thought was really ordinary, but the probably because I just like the Borg. First Contact was very good. And North, yes, most horror film sequels do suck. Because usually the first horror film's pretty ordinary anyway, and the sequels are all just to cash in. Yeah, that's weird. I put extra vermouth in that. Dry vermouth, which is not necessarily a great idea. Yeah. So that's the thing with doing these clarified cocktails. Never know what's going to come out the other end because it changes the cocktail. And it's not always better, but at least it's always interesting. What? 5 is where Spock's long lost brother Cybok takes over the. You're making that up? Star Trek 3 says for Spock. Oh, the voyage home. Okay, now I've got it clear in my head. Shit, I had literally. Oh my God, Abigail, like you're saying we don't mention the 5th one. I had literally forgot. That's so bad. The Final Frontier. That's so bad. I had forgotten it existed. I had literally forgotten what exists. Jesus, that's how bad that one is. I thought you were taking the piss. So it goes the motion picture, Wrath of Khan, excellent. Search for Spock, Voyage Home, Final Frontier, terrible. But The Undiscovered Country, I love that movie. Generations is very ordinary. First Contact is great. And then any other Next Generation ones are pretty goddamn ordinary. So that's like 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 of them are good. Wow, that is really funny. Like, Abigail, I seriously thought you were taking the piss. I thought you were mocking my lack of Star Trek knowledge. But yes, 5 is so bad, I had actually forgotten it existed. Jesus. Wow, man. That's fucking with my head, honestly. That is really fucking with my head. Do I have any strong opinions about the reboots? Probably the first reboot is best. I particularly loved Eric Bana as the bad guy, and just that moment where he just screams, "Fire everything!" And it's just like, just as a line, I love that. Like, they're in this desperate situation and he just yells, "Fire everything!" And I know this is another potentially controversial opinion, but I did enjoy Benadryl Cabbage Patch as Khan in the second reboot movie. And the third, it's like had its moments. And the bit that a lot of people hate in it, I think is hilarious. I love when the Beastie Boys save the universe, basically. North American remakes of movies are mostly terrible. Yes. When the Americans remake European or Asian films, they're almost always terrible. Or even if they're pretty good, then you go back and watch the original and you go, oh no, compared to the original, this is shit. But by and large, American remakes of films from other countries are fucking terrible. This would be a fun one. Can someone come up with an example where the American remake is actually better? Because they're normally fucking terrible. Okay, this is not a winner. This is going to like ruin my diet and put some sugar syrup in it. Just a little bit of my blood orange syrup. That's a good one, Abigail. American Pie franchise, Lesson in Cringe. Yes, the first one was vaguely entertaining, but then they were really flogging a dead horse. Nintendo Lunchbox, I've never gotten into Mystery Science Theater 3000. I've watched a little bit of it, of the original, and I started watching one of the new ones. Never really did it for me. Raiders, the American take on Animal Kingdom stuff. Was that a movie? I know there was a series. Are you referring to an American movie? Because Animal Kingdom is one of the best Australian films ever. That just everything about that, the script, the acting, the cinematography, the editing, the sound design, that's an astonishingly well-made film. And with the most evil fucking granny in all of history. Some people think Cruella de Vil is mean. Nothing compared to the crime matriarch in Animal Kingdom. It was a bit better. It's too bitter. I made that too bitter. I put too much dry vermouth in it. Oh well. Cest Levi, live and learn. Yes, Granny Evil. I've forgotten her name, but Jackie Weaver came to people's attention in America. So she had a very late career renaissance. She's got lots of film roles off the back of how stunningly good she was in Animal Kingdom. Like, she is incredible. She's amazing. Man, let's say you think Cruella de Vil's bad is a granny who a granny who blackmails a corrupt cop into doing a hit on her grandson who she doesn't trust. Jesus. North, you reckon The Departed is great? I think Infernal Affairs is one of my favorite Hong Kong films. The Departed, the one with Leo DiCaprio and Jack Nicholson in it, it's good, it's well made, but the original Infernal Affairs is better. That was, I remember Infernal Affairs blew me away when I watched it. Funny Game. I don't know. I don't know what that movie is, and I don't know what it's a remake of. Okay. Geez, this is much better. This with my little blood orange syrup is saved my too bitter drink. So yes. Raiders, yes. Kat Pettingill, mother of the worst criminals in Melbourne. Yes. Somewhat modelled upon. Upset the cops. Because, of course, yes, the people it was very loosely modelled on were bad people who did kill some young cops. But it's like, cops is glorifying it. Dude, he's not glorifying them. They're like the worst fucking people in this movie. They're terrible. And yeah, the cops were all corrupt, but I'd hate to break it to you, cops, you're all corrupt. It's just like, and yes, it's centered on the crime family. It didn't glorify the crime family. They were fucking awful. They were terrible. Just because it centers on them doesn't make them good. It doesn't glorify them. And just because the cops were corrupt doesn't say the criminals are good. They were awful. It always cracks me up if you get things where people are upset at having cop characters who are bad and corrupt in movies. And they get upset. You didn't say that about the cops. Well, maybe the cops should be less fucking corrupt. And it would be less believable when you had corrupt cops and things. Yeah, Raiders, the Wall Street shooting. Yeah, no. And even in the movie, the scene that's more or less, the equivalent to the Wall Street shooting, they're pieces of shit. The criminals are pieces of shit. And the cops, and it's not corrupt cops that they kill. It's just some young constables. So in the actual shooting, the cops are definitely not the bad guys. The criminals are the bad guys. But yeah. Shieldsy, Jackie Chan's usually fun. Has made a lot of incredibly ordinary movies. But at least Jackie Chan is usually fun in a movie. So he's definitely got that going for him. Yes, I was in the early days of video, I was very much into like Jackie Chan movies in the 80s and 90s. When he was still trying really hard to break into Hollywood and not quite making it, but watching his actual Chinese films, there were some quite good ones in that collection. But yes, I don't know that Jackie Chan has a huge number of films that are significant contributions to cinematic history, but he's fun. He's quite reliable fun. So yeah. Oh god, that's the other thing. I want to watch Raid 2 again. There's a is Raid Indonesian? Yeah, yeah, Raiders. It was young constables that were ambushed by scumbag criminals, and in the movie Animal Kingdom, they make it very clear it's a couple of young constables who were ambushed by scumbag criminals. It's not justified. I mean, in the criminal's mind, it was because one of the family got killed by corrupt cops, and so it's justified in the criminal's mind. But if anyone in the audience thought it was justified, they're pretty fucked up people. So, yeah, I don't really. I know why cops are whiny about that. I don't really agree with them though. I think we were saying another one. I suppose. Abigail, there's a Tesla biopic. Yes, that was recent, wasn't it? I watched it. David Bowie as Tesla in The Prestige. I don't know that David Bowie ever had a truly great film performance. He's quite good in a few films, and there are really interesting films across his career. Actually, probably Labyrinth. He was very good in Labyrinth, actually. I did watch Tolkien, Abigail. Yes, I think that might have even been a date night movie. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was an interesting exploration that gave you the background to his life, and it was a well-made film, well acted, and all that. Not hugely memorable, but certainly not terrible. Something about you're talking about Bowie as Tesla. Something about that movie. I think the movie The Prestige is pretty good. And of course, the story I find quite compelling, like the two different types of the competing magicians, and they each have a secret that the other doesn't know, and that was really compelling. But somehow that movie didn't quite come together for me. Oh god, I can't even remember Bowie and Zoolander. What else was it? Oh, obviously, not that long ago, I rewatched what might have been Bowie's first feature, The Man Who Fell to Earth. That's an interesting, trippy 70s film. There's The Hunger. He's more the supporting character in The Hunger than the lead, but he's a vampire in The Hunger. I think I've seen him play Andy Warhol. I think Bowie was Andy Warhol in the the biopic of the street artist from New York, Brain No Worky. Oh yes, no Tenet spoilers. I still haven't watched Tenet. I have to watch that at some point. Oh god, I think we can almost Basquiat. Jesus, when you can almost see the name of something that you're trying to remember, and I think I know it's going. It's 3 syllables. Basquiat, Jean-Paul Basquiat, a biopic of him. Todney, no spoilers. Okay, I know Tenet has absolutely divided people. Some people hate it, some people love it, but no spoilers. Yeah, there's a biopic of Basquiat, and Bowie plays Andy Warhol, and a really funny line in it. I think it's brilliant. Basquiat comes into Warhol's studio, and Warhol's there, and there is this very muscular young man with no shirt on. He's wearing jeans, but he's got his dick out because he's pissing on a canvas. And Basquiat sort of says to Warhol, "What's happening?" And Warhol says, "Oh, well, it's an experiment because there's this Mexican beer that's a very bright yellow color, and I drank some of it, and I noticed it made my pee this really intense color, and so I wanted to see what it would look like on a canvas." And I think also Warhol just wanted the muscular young man with his dick out in the studio. So yeah, Warhol says it's because he wants to see what the piss looks like on a canvas. And Basquiat says, "You're the..." And again, this is not really a joke, but I found it hilarious. Basquiat says to Warhol, "You're the artist. Why didn't you drink the beer and piss on the canvas?" And Warhol just goes, "I don't like to drink beer very much." Just to me, it was just something about, and it's probably about Bowie delivers it really well. It's just that as an excuse, like, why have you got this naked young man pissing in front of you? Like, I don't know. And Warhol's excuse is, someone had to do it, and I don't like drinking beer that much. Just something about that line. Like I said, it's not an actual joke, but it just cracked me up. Also, Dennis Hopper's in that film. Pretty much anything with Dennis Hopper in it is worth watching. Again, not always great films, sometimes quite bad films, but honestly, kind of worth it if Dennis Hopper's in it. I saw the exploitation film Hopper made in, God, it was the 60s or the 70s, and it's called. It's not very long. Like, I think it's only about 60 minutes. It's called The Trip. Uh, let me see. From 1967. It's got really bad critical ratings, like 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's not a great film, actually, but it basically follows this guy Peter Fonda. He gets given a trip, and it's like acid, and it's by some academic who wants to study how he goes, and the academic leaves the room, and Peter Fonda freaks out and runs out of the house, and the academic comes back, "Where'd he go?" And so the rest of the film is tripping Peter Fonda's, and I think Peter Fonda was probably really tripping as well. And he comes up on Dennis Hopper, who's like stoned out of his mind, and I think Dennis Hopper really was stoned while they're doing it. And Peter Fonda's like saying to him, "I'm freaking out, man. I think they're following me." And Dennis Hopper's going, "Relax, man. No one's following you," and whatnot. And Peter Fonda just keeps going, like, "No, dude. I think I can see them. I think they're following me. I think they're going to follow." And and then you just see the paranoia sink in on Dennis Hopper, and he goes, "I don't know, man. If they're following you, maybe you should leave. I don't want the pigs here." I think Dennis Hopper was really stoned and got really paranoid and so that. But anyway, I don't know. North, I haven't seen I Shot Andy Warhol, actually. Of course, there are lots of films that are either about Andy Warhol or Andy Warhol features as a character on his world. I've got one Christ on disc that I haven't watched called Factory Girl because it was like on sale for $5, so I grabbed it. It's from like 10 or 20 years ago, I don't know. And it's about one of Warhol's main models. But I haven't watched it. I've got a whole bunch of discs I haven't watched. Not even see, because streaming services, man. I didn't watch all my discs I haven't watched because I watch streaming services. There is too much good TV at the moment. Can't watch it all. Chris, good evening. How are you? Yes. So yes, even though Dennis Hopper has been in some truly terrible films, I think he's usually worth watching on screen because he's just an interesting guy. I think the first film I saw him in was Blue Velvet because, Hopper's a generation older than me, so I didn't see his early stuff. I might have seen Easy Rider before Blue Velvet, but I saw Blue Velvet when it was a new movie in the cinema, early David Lynch film. I saw Easy Rider on video, I'm pretty sure. Probably saw Blue Velvet first. But yeah, Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet as Frank. Jesus Christ. He's terrifying. Yes, Nintendo Lunchbox. Jack Nicholson was in the original Little Shop of Horrors because Jack Nicholson used to do stuff with Roger Corman. The original Little Shop of Horrors is a Roger Corman film. And it's actually not bad. And although it bombed, I really enjoyed the musical with Rick Moranis from the 80s. That was a critical failure and commercial failure, but I quite liked it. Tony, Flashback. I think there's more than one film called Flashback. What's the one you're talking about? Because I kind of think I have, but I also think there's more than one film called Flashback, so I'm not sure. So, yeah, Chris, in case you haven't picked up, we're talking films. Okay, with Kiefer Sutherland. No, didn't see it. Not a massive Kiefer Sutherland fan, but I've seen a few years ago. Is it good? Flashback with Kiefer Sutherland? He's been in some good. He's been in Lost Boys. If you're going to, my number one Kiefer Sutherland film, definitely Lost Boys. Fuck, I love that film. That is a great film. Well, he was in the original, the one where the medical students flatline. It's called Flatliners. That's it. He was in the original Flatliners. I think, did I watch the remake? There was like a remake of Flatliners. I think I might have watched it. I watched half of it, but it made no impression on me. So I either didn't watch it or I didn't watch all of it because it wasn't worth it. But I quite enjoyed the original Flatliners. North, Hopper was in Texas Chainsaw 2 and that film sucked. I don't think I've watched... I might have watched the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and thought it was shit, which is possibly sacrilege because a lot of people really like Tobe Hooper and like that film. I feel like no. Well, I don't think I have seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I saw the original The Hills Have Eyes and thought it was kind of shit. But then I'm not really into horror. Sometimes I can recognize that a horror film's quite well made and that it's got some really creepy stuff in it, but they don't tend to scare me or really bring me... I'm just not that into horror. Like a recent one, Hereditary, that everyone was talking up, which again, really well made film and has some fucked up creepy shit in it. It has some really, really, really weird fucked up shit in it. But it didn't really do it for me. I guess it is a horror film, Get Out. If we're classifying Get Out as a horror film, which I think it is, it would be my all-time favorite horror film. I really like that movie. That is very good. I think because that was Jordan Peele's first feature, and yeah, his second feature, Us, again had its moments, had good stuff, but I thought the exposition, pay off the third act, let it down, didn't really do it for me. Whereas Get Out, I just think was fucking great. Chris, you liked, for the wrong reasons, the first 3 Saw films. I've only watched the first one, which was okay, didn't really do it for me. I've kind of meant to watch more of the Saw films. Ooh, Chris, your favorite horror film is Dawn of the Dead 1978, which is good. Cabin in the Woods, which is good, doesn't quite do for me. I know some people really like Cabin in the Woods, and I think Cabin in the Woods is clever, but it just doesn't quite do it for me. Which is like with a lot of good horror films. I can see, it's clever, it's good, and it just doesn't quite do it for me. Actually, if I go right back, Poltergeist, the original Poltergeist, definitely one of my favorite horror films. I really like Poltergeist. That would be my second favorite. Just plucking that out of the hat. Favorite horror film, Get Out. Second favorite, Poltergeist. Also, another one where the sequels are shit. Again, there's kind of some good stuff in the sequels, but the original Poltergeist is just incredible. So it's like, when I was like second year uni, Nightmare on Elm Street came out, and people were talking up Nightmare on Elm Street was actually scary. It's really scary. I didn't see it in the cinema. It might have been scary in the cinema. I saw it on video in a share house, and my housemate spent the entire movie going, "That's not scary. Why did people say that's scary? That's not." And when someone's sitting next to you at every single thing going, "That's not scary. That's not scary." Guess what? It's not scary. So I think my housemate actually ruined Nightmare on Elm Street for me. Raiders, your horror recommendation is Dumplings. It's fucked up. I don't know that one. I'm not sure what you're referring to as a true movie, Nintendo Lunchbox. Yes, Chris. George Romero makes good films. I saw the remake of The Crazies, and that had what's his name from Justified, Timothy Olyphant. Timmy Olyphant was the lead in the remake of Crazies, and it wasn't terrible. Again, not great, but not terrible. Nintendo Lunchbox. No, Texas Chainsaw was not a true movie. Toby, who did hear about some people who got killed and said it was modeled on it, but the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not a true movie. It's kind of like Psycho was very loosely inspired by a serial killer story. There are a few movies that are very loosely inspired by actual killers. I mean, does Wolf Creek count as a horror? It's a slasher film. The Australian film Wolf Creek. If Wolf Creek counts as a horror film, it's in my top 3. So my top 3 now stop saying if Wolf Creek counts as a horror film, my top 3 would be Get Out, Poltergeist, and Wolf Creek. The Wolf Creek 2 was kind of entertaining, but mostly stupid. Wolf Creek was very loosely inspired. It was like a mashup of 2 British backpackers who got kidnapped in the Northern Territory, and there's a bit of Ivan Milat in there as well. It was very loosely inspired mashup of some actual killings in Australia. But John Jarratt in the original Wolf Creek, fuck me, he's something else. He is absolutely something else in Wolf Creek. So, yes, if we're counting Wolf Creek as a horror film, that's my 3rd favorite. It's kind of hard. Like, if all-time favorites is very hard. Like I mentioned I think Godfather's kind of technically perfect. Probably my top 5, and some of just soft spots like Princess Bride's definitely in my top 5. With Nolan Eyes in my top 5. Mad Max Fury Road's in my top 5. What else would be top 5? Godfather might get in there. Then it gets a little bit harder to choose what would be my all-time favorite. Yeah, so, okay, like what's a film I can just rewatch and just absolutely blows me away every time I watch it? Yeah, Raiders. John Jarrett's trip from play school to murderer is pretty wild. All-time great films. What are all-time great films? And it's really like some films I can admire and go, well, that's really well made, but it doesn't end up being my favorite because favorite has an emotional element to it, not purely objective. Yeah, there we go. Xanadu, that great Olivia Newton-John film, that could be there. North, in terms of horror, 28 Days Later. Okay, this is great. 28 Days Later would probably be my fourth favorite horror movie. And yeah, 28 Weeks Later, not terrible, but didn't really do it for me. But Danny Boyle, because Danny Boyle's not a horror filmmaker, he's like an art house filmmaker. And he reinvented zombie movies with 28 Days Later. Did the fast zombies, the rage zombies. And it was genuinely fucking terrifying. And that bit with Cillian Murphy waking up from a coma and wandering the empty streets of London going, what the fuck happened? Classic zombie movie trope. They did it in The Walking Dead as well. Dawn of the Dead's just kind of fun. Raiders, it didn't really do it for me. Neither the Tim Curry one nor the recent remake. Neither of them were terrible. The Tim Curry It was not terrible. The remake, which I saw the two parts of, is not terrible. I think they both did a very good job in different ways of making Pennywise the Clown terrifying. It was a real challenge, I think, for the makers of the recent version of It to redesign Pennywise and have him be terrifying. And I think they fucking did it. But yeah, Tim Curry as Pennywise is fucking frightening. But yeah, the It movies didn't really do it for me. Yeah, and I like the Romero Dead films, from Night of the Living Dead to Return of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Even the ones that people shit on, some of the later ones, like I think one was called Diary of the Dead, and it was like from a YouTube vlogger's point of view, and some people really shat on that one, and I thought it wasn't terrible. Oh, Chris, that's a good tip. The 1973 Crazies film by Romero is free on YouTube. Nintendo Lunchbox. The Breakfast Club is a fun movie, but it can never be more than that for me because of the makeover they did for Ali Sheedy to turn her from being a cool, sort of introspective goth character into ordinary, and all just to impress a jock. That revolts me so much. The Breakfast Club can never be more than kind of cute for me. That if they didn't do that, the Breakfast Club would be much higher in my estimation. Yeah, see, Chris, the Diary of the Dead was good on internet misinformation. Yeah. And also because it did the ultimate Romero thing where they're ending up showing how when the zombie plague is more or less brought under control, there's all that video of humans torturing zombies because they think it's okay, and just kind of highlighting humans are kind of fucked up. Yeah. So, yeah, trying to think what's a really good comedy. Well, Princess Bride's a comedy. It's one of my all-time favorites. It's kind of hard to separate I'm with Noel and I's a comedy. So two of my three favorite films are comedies. Yeah, I guess it's just, stuff kind of blurs after a while. There are so many fucking films and TV shows. You watch hundreds of them, they all blur a little bit. Yeah, Chris, that's also a bit of a weak point in The Breakfast Club. At the end, they act like nothing happened. Of all those John Hughes teen comedies, I think one of the lesser known ones, Some Kind of Wonderful, is the best, just because morally it's the best. I think morally, 16 Candles is the fucking worst. And Pretty in Pink is fucking terrible. So, no, Pretty in Pink is the worst. 16 Candles is not good. Some Kind of Wonderful is, I think, the best of those John Hughes teen comedies. But yes, the messages in 16 Candles and particularly Pretty in Pink are fucking terrible. Moralizing about teen comedies. It's a thing, kids. Was there kind of anything with Ben Mendelsohn in it? I will watch, much as I was saying I'd watch anything with Dennis Hopper in it, I'll watch anything with Ben Mendelsohn in it because I grew up, like, he's basically my age. I grew up with him. He did a couple of really interesting films in the 80s in Australia where he played 3 different types of suburban boy. He's very good. Oh, yeah. Abigail, Revenge of the Nerds is good apart from the rape stuff in it. So, yeah, let's just say the sexual politics in Revenge of the Nerds is very bad. Yes, the whole non-consensual sex is funny. No, not really. Not really. But I actually think Revenge of the Nerds, that bit notwithstanding, I think Revenge of the Nerds is pretty good. And the one line I always repeat is nerds. And I'm the fucking nerd, so that's kind of ridiculous, but I love that. North, you like Rain Man? I'm not sure I've ever sat all the way through Rain Man. I've watched bits of it. It is definitely a good movie. It's definitely a good movie. I'm not sure if I've ever sat and watched Rain Man from beginning to end. Not sure. Raiders, you're a fan of the Henderson Kids. It was a TV show, though, wasn't it? I have vague memories of what the Henderson Kids is. God, what was a cruise film? It's kind of funny because, like, okay, so I've been into cocktails for a couple of years, and it was a while ago, it was like a year or two ago, sometime in the last 2 years, I watched the Tom Cruise, Brian Brown film Cocktail for the first time. Sat down. It happened to like just be on Movie Channel and Foxtel. And I thought, I should watch this. I sat down and watched it. Everyone involved in making that film hates women. It's like women were always the source of everything that was wrong. So Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure. Yeah, might as well bring up the Star Wars Christmas special. Safa, hello. You jarred your finger at AFL, a preseason game. Ooh, good luck with a fucking damaged finger playing AFL. Raiders. So yeah, The Big Steal was one of the best Mendelsohn films. Great comedy with him and Claudia Carvan, who I still have an unresolved crush on. So there you go. Chris, after thinking for a while, Romero was right. We'd never handle a pandemic in the US. Yes. Oof. Okay, Tom Cruise good as Jack Reacher. I thought the first Jack Reacher film was pretty good. Second one, I mean, it was entertaining. Didn't really do it for me, though. Oh, Raiders, forget early Claudia Carvan. Claudia Carvan today. The crush is still unresolved. But yes, growing up with Claudia Carvan in a few good films, my God. Otherwise, Victoria's so cold. We're too far to the south, man. Supposed to be slightly warm this week, though. Yeah, I mean, everything Mendo does, though, right through to Rogue One, still definitely my favorite Star Wars movie. Mendo in Rogue One, again, letting him have his own accent and also giving him his own accent in the Marvel film, Captain Marvel, as the shape changer. That was good. Because, of course, aliens can have Australian accents. But yes, as the imperial officer with an Australian accent, Mendo was so fucking good in Rogue One. Definitely the best Star Wars movie for me. I mean, like, again, this is still personal taste, but for me, it's not even close. Rogue One is such a good movie. I'd probably again my controversial take with the Star Wars. Rogue One first, probably The Last Jedi second, and then Empire Strikes Back. A lot of people have Empire Strikes Back as their favorite. But again, taking in Star Wars films is very subjective. Oh, yes, Raiders, that Secret Life series was pretty good. Safi, you liked episode 7, so that's Force Awakens? Yeah, Force Awakens was good. In fact, I was really impressed with how good Force Awakens was, because I thought it would just be a shameless cash in, but it was really quite good. I just think Last Jedi is better. It did really interesting stuff. Notwithstanding, I don't really disagree with people who say the casino scene doesn't really work. They were just trying to put something in there. But anyway, oh, you only just heard that about yes, our state premier Dan Andrews this morning getting ready for work slipped on some stairs and has damaged vertebra and broken a bunch of ribs, and they're keeping him in an intensive care for a couple of days to keep an eye on him, which is pretty wild. Chris, you like all the Star Wars films except Solo. Solo was quite a letdown, actually. So much potential, and I find it really hard to put my finger on why Solo didn't really work. There's a lot of potential and good stuff in it. I think Solo is probably better than Rise of Skywalker was. Ugh. Rise of Skywalker, Jesus. Again, some good stuff in Rise of Skywalker, but broadly speaking, it was fucking embarrassing. And just like, what the fuck? I mean, bringing back the Emperor was a fucking stupid idea. Oh, Safa, they didn't replace the director a month before. They replaced the director halfway through. Ron Howard ended up finishing the directing for it. North, Attack of the Clones sucked on every level. Oh yes, the computer generated stuff in the prequels did not age well. It looks terrible. Looks terrible. I like the space. I like the battle scenes in the sequels, in the prequels. If you want me to say something good about the prequels, I liked the battle scenes, particularly the space battles. I thought they were good. But broadly, the scripts are just terrible, and the acting. So, I mean, the romance. I'm watching these movies and going, has George Lucas talked to a girl ever? I mean, I know he was married, but how did that happen? This is like dialogue of someone who's never talked to a girl. It was, ugh, it was cringy. And but yes, if you want me to say something good, I think the battle scenes in the prequels were good. I quite enjoy them. Ah, Safa, your controversial take. You liked episode 1. Personal taste, man. Personal taste. Okay, Chris, you like the prequels, especially episode. I think episode 3 is the best of the prequels. But to me, the script and the acting was just fucking terrible. Yeah, because I think the romance was awful. Like, I seriously, that was my one thought as I was watching the romance. I'm going, has George Lucas ever talked to a girl? What the fuck is this? Yes, Safa, they did cut a bunch of scenes. You can get the extended cuts, which are even more boring because they put back in all this stuff that absolutely, definitely should have been cut out. George Lucas needs a really fucking serious editor because even there is a really good doco. It's basically called uh, how Star Wars was saved in the edit. And Star Wars, the original, A New Hope, was saved in the edit by George Lucas's then wife, who was the editor, because George Lucas shot a bunch of extraneous stuff that absolutely fucked up the pacing of the story, and she cut it out and made it so much better. So if I don't know what romance worse, Clones or Empire. Oh, you mean the Solo Leia thing? It's just a bit rapey. Safa, she was his wife at the time. Yeah. Always money in the banana stand. Yes. Kirsten, you've seen episode 1 5 or 6 times in the cinema. You've seen none of the other movies. It's close to the worst. Episode 1, I think, it's the worst. I think it's the worst of all of them. Chris, a box office failure you love is Oliver Stone's Alexander. I have watched that. I don't think it was terrible. Abigail, watch the prequel trilogy with commentary from Star Wars Theory on YouTube. You'll have a new appreciation of them. I have more important things to do, quite honestly. I like the tip. I do like Chris, the thing about Oliver Stone's Alexander, what I always wanted to do was a sketch, because there's this one thing, because everyone wants to have the rousing speech. Everyone wants the rousing speech in that sort of movie. And Alexander has the big rousing speech. His armies, thousands of people. And when I was watching it, what I thought was funny is he's giving a rousing speech, and I'm going, anyone more than 50 meters away from him is not going to hear what he's saying. This is ridiculous. He can't give a rousing speech to an army of thousands of people because they're not going to hear it. And I always wanted to do a sketch that was like two soldiers, and they're about 10 ranks back, and Alexander's making this speech, and all they hear is, and they're just having this conversation about, what do you reckon he's saying? You think it's good? Like he's trying to inspire us? Does he not know we can't hear it? How would we hear him? Isn't he supposed to be smart? How does he not know? Has no one ever told him that you can't hear him? Why are we following this guy? What is wrong with him? Kirsten, you lived in Port Hedland. There was nothing available for months. All the youth groups you're part of had the movie at the end of year active. That's fair. Safa, I am not going to rush to watch Snyder's Justice League, but you're right, the streaming might crash when it's released. I'll watch it eventually. I'm sure it'll be on one of the streaming services I have. I will watch it eventually, but I'm in no rush. Very conflicted about Zack Snyder. I have to admit, I love 300. 300 is just a hoot. Yeah. And I suppose my slightly controversial take is I liked his Superman, Man of Steel. A lot of people hate that. A lot of people hate it. The same people who like Christopher Reeve's Superman. I think Christopher Reeve's Superman is shit. That's another controversial opinion, throwing it out there. Christopher Reeve's Superman movies are shit. Abigail Dangerfield have plus size models on their website. Nice. Not thin people plus size, actual plus size. Nice. Okay, Abigail, like Man of Steel. So if you like extended Batman versus Superman, I didn't hate Batman versus Superman. I liked Man of Steel better. And I will watch his extended Justice League. I'm not going to rush to watch it, but I will watch it at some point. I'm sure it'll be on a streaming service I have. Again, because there's very few things I rush to because there's too much stuff to watch at the moment. Uh, so you have to miss out on some stuff. There is too much high quality stuff. Can't watch it all. Oh, Kirsten also excited for the Dangerfield stuff. Me too. I actually like the guys' stuff in Dangerfield. So if they have plus size stuff for guys, I'll be excited about that as well. In fact, now I'm going to look. I'm going to look while we're talking. Okay. Dangerfield website. Shop Dangerfield. Subscribe for off. No, go away. Men's. Fuck off. Stop doing pop-ups, you fuck. Babe Power Tee. Weird oversized t-shirt. Skort. Oh, that's interesting. Cross between skirt and shorts. Call it chaotic skirt. So it's like their version of a kilt. I don't mind that. Let's have a look at that. Stop with the fucking pop-ups. Jesus. That only goes up to 38. That's not really plus size. $88. Jesus, Dangerfield. Fuck off with the fucking pop-ups. Celestial unisex jeans. Those are kind of cute. There's black jeans. Look, I'm going to show you. I'm shopping now. I'm shopping. Where are we? Share screen. Chrome tab. Dangerfield. Okay. So these jeans with the celestial signs on them. $100. Holy cow. That's why I only ever buy stuff that's on sale. What's on sale? I'm such a tight ass. Stop with the fucking pop-ups, Dangerfield, you fucks. These are all ladies. I want... What they call it? They're calling it curve. Okay, the plus side stuff they're calling curve. Okay. Very gothy stuff. Pop punk. All ladies stuff on sale. Where's the men's stuff on sale? Jellyfish. That's pretty cool. Do 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 do. All right, I want to see men's stuff. Control F. Men. 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 Promenade. It's like all the sales stuff's for women. Miss Andrea's real. Okay, I'm going to stop shopping now. I'm going to stop shopping. Stop. Oh, see, Abigail. Okay, I have a somewhat philosophical objection to ad blockers because I've been someone who's tried to make money online, and advertising is the only way to do that. So I have a somewhat philosophical objection to ad blockers. But sites that do really fucking offensive pop-ups are testing my patience. And you think I'm looking a bit... The hair's getting longer. That's the whole thing. I brush it back, it stays back. Unless I wash it and don't put product in it. Probably not going to wash it till the end of the week now. Yes, no, there is men's. I just didn't find it in the sale stuff. So anyway, I'm doing the meal replacement thing at the moment, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned on another stream. Trying to lose weight because I put on so much weight in the last 5 years. want to lose it again. So not least because I have sleep apnea and weight is a contributing factor to that. So my sleep apnea will be alleviated somewhat if I lose some weight. So that is a good point, Abigail. Most ad blockers let you whitelist certain websites, but yeah. It is. Well, look, it's well behaved long hair. There's basically when I get it wet in the shower, I just brush it back and it stays back. Except like the first day I wash it, as you said, everyone was joking. Like I had a fringe that looked like a comb over. That was actually the night I yelled at Dingus, who was talking his shit, because someone clipped that on Twitch. Just the very short burst of after I'd screamed "shut the fuck up" at him, and I just me saying why, it's my live stream with my rules, and if I say "shut the fuck up," you shut the fuck up. But again, I saw it was like when my hair was really fluffy because I just washed it, and it's got this big fringe. Safi, your grandma has sleep apnea. Yes. Well, I'm going sometime next month. I'm probably going into a hospital for a sleep study where they're going to attach electrodes to me and say, now sleep normally. Well, you've got all these electrodes attached to you. And then they'll say, yes, you've got sleep apnea. You should use this CPAP machine or you might die. And also, that will alleviate the snoring problem for Mrs. Angry. So I will do that. But yes, weight is actually part of it. Abigail, do I have a link to the clip? Let me see if it's still there. Twitch, my channel, because I'm live on Twitch now. So let me go channel. See, I don't fucking know how Twitch works. Disabling Twitch account. No, maybe you can only see the clipped ones if you're not actually live. No. Where's the profile settings? Disable Twitch account. So there I am live. Maybe the clips only stay there for a little while, or maybe they're only there when you're not actually live, because I can't see them. But my Twitch channel is It's Angry Aussie, so it might be there. Todney, someone clipped some stuff I saw when I looked at my profile the other day of me ranting. Oh, if you want to see it, the actual YouTube thing, okay, for fun, YouTube. Okay, for fun, I'm going to timestamp it. Videos. How long ago was it? It was Pokemon Day, I think, was it? Or was it the Friday night, the party night? Because I would have been pretty drunk. Because I usually let people on Friday night. Nettie's there. Abigail, where are we? Okay, it wasn't that Friday night, I don't think. Okay, so it wasn't that. So maybe it was Pokemon Day. Because the very next one is, yep, there he is. And there he's gone. So it must have happened here. Share. Start at. Copy. Now, for fun, I will put, that's a link. I think that's a timestamped link that's probably right in the middle of when I'm shouting at him. So it's it's at about the 3 hour mark. It's somewhere between 3 and 3. It's probably closer to 3.5 hours when I start shouting at him. But that link there is, I think, kind of in the middle of when I'm shouting at him. So it's that live. It's the live stream called Happy Pokemon Day, and the shouting happens somewhere around 3.5 hour mark. So yeah, how I get when someone's being an obnoxious shit and I've got a couple drinks in me. It's kind of like, God, there's someone that was shitting me so fucking much on Facebook today, and it was in a group page where, I can't really tell someone to get fucked. And that's all I wanted to say to them, because it's just this bloody self-absorbed bullshit. It took you to the beginning? Okay, I thought I had time to, but anyway, that stream at about the 3.5 hour mark is where I'm shouting at him. Yeah, this person, and because it was on a group thing where I couldn't really just tell them to get fucked. And I desperately wanted to. Just like, when you try and help someone and their response is to be really self-absorbed, and like I was helping a group of people, and the overwhelming number of people in the group appreciated the help and went, "Oh, that's really good." And there were just two people who were being absolutely self-absorbed shitheads that were just wanted to make it all about them. And I'm like, just get fucked. And I couldn't say that. So I went and vented on Twitter just to get it out of my system. And it was total vague tweeting, subtweeting, just saying, fuck you, and fucking hate people like this. And so then this person on Facebook goes, well, I found you on Twitter, so I thought it was said. And I was just like, get fucked. And so I just blocked them. I just couldn't fucking stand, because I couldn't just keep seeing their fucking obnoxiousness. I was just going to snap, and I was just going to tell them how much I hated them and I wanted them to fuck off and die. And it was not really appropriate in that forum. So I just fucking blocked them and just like, no, just fuck off. Fucking self-absorbed people shit me so fucking much. It's just like, again, I've learned it so many times. The internet, when you're in like groups on the internet, you can get a lot out of it, and it can feel rewarding and whatnot. But ultimately, no matter how much work you put into something like that, there will always be these self-absorbed fuckheads who make it all about them, and it's just like, nothing, no matter how much of your time or money you've given up for these things, it's never good enough for them. And it's just like, get fucked. Reminded me back to something I read long time ago. Was it like, when was World of Warcraft a big thing? Like 15 years ago? Something like that. Someone wrote this quite long piece on a website. For those who never knew or forget World of Warcraft, online gaming thing, and you form guilds, you have little armies, and some of them were very big, they're very involved, and people would spend 100 hours more a week on World of Warcraft. Now, the people who were the head of like rising up in the guilds was a real thing, and the senior people in the guild, they had all this power. And this piece was written by a guy who, he was basically like the third most powerful person in one of the biggest guilds. And so he was like spending 100+ hours a week doing World of Warcraft. And He'd done this for an extended time, and basically everyone started telling him, "You look like shit. You look really unhealthy." Like his real world friends, and he realized it was destroying both his mental and physical health. And he said, "I'm leaving. I have to leave. I think this is going to fucking kill me if I stay." And people were shocked. Like, how can you leave? This is our whole, you're here 100 hours a week. How could you leave? He goes, "That's why I'm leaving." And he left, and he found an almost instant improvement. And over the subsequent weeks and months, his quality of life just got so much better. His physical and mental health got so much better. He had so much free time to do other things. And it was so obvious after he's like, "Oh my God, there's relief." And it was something like about 3 months after he quit. And he quit cold turkey. He didn't cut down his hours. He just went, "I'm out." And it was a huge, dramatic, controversial thing. And about 3 months after he quit, he logged back into the server to see what's happening. He's basically saying to people, "Hey, I'm Jimbo. I used to do this." And people either didn't remember him or didn't give a shit. They were like, "Yeah, but what have you done for me lately?" And he's, "Well, I know you. I personally spent hours and hours and hours supporting you and mentoring you. And I spent hundreds of hours doing this, and no one gave a shit." It's like he had convinced himself that was his world. Like the guild were his family, and this was the most important thing there was. And it was like the instant he wasn't surrendering his life to them, they stopped giving a shit about him. They didn't care about him at all. It was like World of Warcraft generally was just so fucking toxic, just ruiner of lives. But that's an extreme example. My example is nowhere near that extreme. But I do, like, most of the stuff I do, like, and it's usually with YouTube stuff. Most of the stuff I do, I enjoy and I feel rewarded. But I just repeatedly get the evidence, like, "Oh, people don't give a shit. They don't fucking care what you're giving up. They don't fucking care what you're giving up for them. They only think of themselves." And so it's like, yeah, fuck it. So like when I had this fuckwit being a complete fuckwit, it's just like, okay, I've just I've just got to block this person till I'll never see them again, or I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it and tell them what a fucking piece of shit I think they are, and that would not have been productive. So it was blocky, blocky. And then you were a Warcraft widow. You used to tell your ex they weren't worth all the effort. Should have been spending the energy with us. His real family. Yep, yep. And so many thousands of people got sucked into thinking it was worth spending that time with their guild on World of Warcraft, and it fucking wasn't. It absolutely fucking wasn't. So, yeah, cautionary tale. Yeah, just one of those things. And I've seen, over the last 20 years, I mean, God, even more back in the 90s, like 25 years ago, when I was on IRC, people who put their heart and soul into adminning IRC channels wasn't fucking worth it. No one fucking cared. And you just like, things could be going really well for an extended period of time, and then toxic people would fuck everything up. Or people who just didn't give a shit, people who didn't recognize the effort that was being made on their behalf to make their experience a bit more seamless and pleasurable, and an absolute lack of recognition of what was being done for them. And it's just like, yep, yep, yep. You got to focus on the good things and just accept the bad things. Yes, Kirsten's like Second Life. There were people who did that in Second Life as well. So for you playing the Old Republic MMO, but it's mostly offline these days, single player. Yeah, see, I almost never do online gaming because repeatedly I've seen your enjoyment, and there's some of the online games they put a huge effort into, but your enjoyment of the game is limited by the most toxic person who's playing. And there's always someone super fucking toxic. And it's just too fucking griefy. Abigail, your guild leader in Star Trek Online was diagnosed with cancer. You were the only one, apart from his wife, that started spending more time with him. Yeah, people are just shit. And yes, Annette, they did turn on each other very easily. It's just fucked. Like I said, you can, you get this stuff and you can get reward from it, but it's just like, oh shit. At a certain point, you invest too much into it, and then really toxic people just make your life miserable. And you did Second Life a bit because the digital activists sort of secure for comms. That is true. It's actually really hard. That's something that activists have done multiple times. They've found online games that's actually very difficult to surveil. Usually only for a limited amount of time, because authorities work out at a certain point, oh, hey, they're using this game to communicate. And then they find a way to tap into the communications in the game. Hey, yawn. It's fair enough. We are at the tail end of the evening. Yeah. Nobody. Hello, sir. Nice to see you. Last 5 minutes. Very nice to see you, though. But yeah, there is a real limit. It's like a law of diminishing returns. I think when you find a good online community, it sort of starts like, oh, I'm here. I found this community. It's better. Oh, wow, it's really good. It's really good. And then you start to invest too much time in it, and the returns drop off really sharply. Finding that balance is hard. I know 10 years ago you were deep in digital activist world. Yeah, well, you'd know the different comms channels you could use. Better than me, definitely. Yep, nobody. Time to say hi and bye, but that's all cool. It's kind of like there's a cocktail group on Facebook that I joined because, with a cocktail channel and whatnot. And definitely 90% of the time, it's really positive. And just on rare occasions, some complete cockhead will pop up and it's and just say something obnoxious. And it's like, who the fuck asked you, you fucking piece of shit? And again, because that's not my forum. So it's like, nope, don't engage, just fuck them off. Just don't engage. Oh, nobody. Bad time with the shrink. Learn nothing. Too smart for them. I think it depends. I think you've got to find the right counselor or psych, and that's not easy. That is absolutely, and yeah, if you got the wrong one, it's really shit. Because in case you're like, this digital community, I like this, and I get rid of people I don't like, as we were discussing earlier. Yeah, this is quite fun. So it's always fun when some random troll, and it's always one of these right-wing haters from back when I was really into the politics on YouTube, goes, oh, no one's watching. And I'm like, well, dickhead, everyone I want to be here is here. So whereas you're just this sad, no-life loser who's obsessing over me, and we're just hanging out, having a good time. So, yeah, I think I know who the loser is, mate. They're few and far between, but they do pop up occasionally. It's just like, dude, why are you fucking obsessed with me? I don't know who you are. I will forget you just after I block you. So, because this is just about having a good time. Particularly, I mean, this all grew out of kind of needing interaction during COVID, because, geez, that was fucked, wasn't it? And we, in Australia at least, are quite spoiled with how much better things are now. But the interaction I've found really important in the last year. Suffer Shrink swore at you when you were 15 because they didn't understand you. You must have been a rough nut little 15-year-old. Nobody know the tricks they teach. Yeah, it is it. Look, a shrink that doesn't suit you is not good. So if I didn't block him, I was giving him a chance. I think of his own free will, he's just gone away. If he ever shows up again, I will very calmly lay down the law and say, I would basically say, yeah, the 3 rules. If you talk shit, I'm going to call you out on talking shit. And if you just absolutely refuse to take on anything anyone says that comprehensively refutes your shit, then I'll know you're a waste of time and you fucking talk over me ever again, and I am blocking you. I don't think you'll come back though. Oh gosh, nobody. The internet doesn't know who you are. Your upload called a poem called "Do Not Like Me." Well, against your intentions, you are just going to have to put up with that. Because we're all flawed, my friend, and we each among us, to different degrees, we have our different issues and whatnot. There's a lot of people who talk about me having issues. I tell you that for free. Like the person I got the shits with today, because they were so fucking self-important, and I was just going to why don't you fuck off? Jesus, just trying to help, and some asshole wants to make it all about them. It just never ceases to aggravate me. Never ceases to aggravate me. And I shouldn't let it get to me, but it fucking does. It really does. And yep, I just have to admit that sometimes they just fucking get to me. Oh, yeah, it's on your YouTube channel. Okay, cool. Well, good question, Abigail. Sorry, we should never, ever again. Okay, good call. It was just in the context of other stuff, like me having the shits with people. So, speaking of, it's Sleepy Bobo's time. I'm going to go to bed. Bid you fine people farewell. Look after yourselves. It's a weird and wacky world we live in. All sorts of strange stresses and whatnots. And we're all just fucking trying to get along. So, yes, sleep well, crew. I hope you are well. I won't be on tomorrow night. Doing slightly less streams. I'm going to have tomorrow night off, unless things change. But if things don't change, I won't be on tomorrow night, but I will be on Thursday night. Either of those could change. I might be on tomorrow night, might not be on Thursday night. But the plan at this point is I won't be on tomorrow night, but I will be on Thursday night. We shall see. We shall see what this strange and mysterious world does. But look after yourself, one and all. See you another time.